Dear friends, you are welcome back to Sorry Na Shrine. Eye asem kese so ana ye du ene ye wo papa kese bi wo ye ntem na ansa na meda na di no. We are looking at the role of examination in the whole process of education. Behind the scenes, he was just asking me whether it was a role of examination in assessment or examination. It appears the educationists have terms for rendering most of the activities, and today he is going to tell us exactly the right term to use. Is it examination? Is it measurement? Is it assessment? To do this discussion with me is an honorable gentleman of the Methodist Church, the very Reverend Dr. Samuel Nmai Ollennu. He was a former director of the Ghana Office of WTVGhana. Former head, yes, the former head of the Ghana Office of WTVGhana. He's now and currently the Director of Tertiary Education of the Methodist Church, Ghana. He was also the immediate past chaplain of the Methodist University, for which I took over from him. Also, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Yes. So it is actually you use head instead of director for your WTVGhana office.
Directors are under the head.
Oh,
They
I
serve
see.
under
Okay,
the head,
okay.
yes.
We want cheap post there, no? All right.
No,
okay. Okay, so head of the Ghana office of
Ghana
National Office.
Yes.
And within the national office, you have directors
Yes.
who are in. So who are some of the directors? Or no, which are some of the directors?
Maybe you have a director of administration.
Okay.
Director of finance.
Oh.
And in fact, the other heads, who we don't call them directors, like head of test development, is also a directorship level, and then head of test administration. Those are also directorship positions.
Okay, all right. So I understand.
And they all report to the head.
To the head.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So the head is the national head.
Yes.
But within it, we have some other subdivision. Also, for generally, people are afraid of exams. Exams appears to be a phobia in the bone of most students. Through your experience as a teacher, why do students fear exams?
Perhaps students fear exams, not just students. Even others who are not students here, they still even fear exams.
Yeah.
And it is because basically they don't understand the purpose of examination, or what we'll call educational assessment. You know, there are 3 dimensions to educational assessment or examination.
All right. So the right name is educational assessment. All right.
But let me call it examination for everybody to understand.
All right. Okay.
So we have examination for learning, examination in learning, and examination of learning.
Please explain.
3 dimensions.
Okay.
Examination for learning, first of all, serves as a motivation. Examination is motivation for learning. You know, if there were no examination, people might not even go to their books. They won't learn.
Oh, okay.
So, but if they know that examination is coming, you know, they go back to the books and learn.
Okay.
So examination, first of all, serves as motivation for learning.
Okay.
So examination for learning. And in that same vein, supposing a teacher takes a class, you know, he doesn't know what the students might have studied. So he will give them an examination. We call it a formative examination, for him to know exactly what the students have learned, so that he will know where to pick, you know, or figure out, you know, what to teach and what not to teach. And that is examination for learning.
Okay.
Now, then the second dimension is examination in learning. What others will call interim assessment. You know, and that examination is also formative. for you to know whether what you have taught so far, have been grasped. And if the results turn out that people are not understanding the concepts, then you design interventions, to help them overcome the challenges or to make up for the shortfalls.
Yes.
So that is examination in learning.
Okay.
And then examination of learning is summative. That is at the end.
Cumulative, everything.
No, at the end of the examination.
Okay. Okay.
Of course, yes, you could say cumulative, and that is to determine the competence of the candidate in a particular field or subject, and that is mostly used for placement, used for selection, used for job engagement, and so on. So it comes out in categorization. And when I mean categorization, I mean grading. So you have the alphanumeric, you have the numeric, and the alphabetical, grading, where you have, if it is numeric, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, that is numeric. And then you have grade A1, grade B2, that is alphanumeric. And then you have grade A, grade B, grade C, that is alphabetical. Okay. So the summative, that is assessment of learning, is actually supposed to show your competence in a particular area of study, or skills that you have for engagement or for furtherance of your
Must
education.
Examination be written? Must people sit down to write an examination in order for them to be assessed?
So now you are asking for different forms of examination.
Okay.
And so the written one, we call it paper and pencil examination.
Why not pen?
Well, that's the term in the field, paper and pencil examination, and it is written. So either essay or objective. Then we could also have practicals, where you have hands-on, to see what skills you have and what you could, display. And another form of examination is interview, where you must think, on your feet on the spot, and people are asked questions and you answer. And in interviews, there may not be syllabus or even curriculum. You could be asked from anywhere.
Any question.
And then the fourth one is the 𝗣𝗯𝗂𝗂, where you have done some work, and then before a panel of judges, you defend. So they are all forms of examination, so it is not just the written. Even in WAS, the West African Senior School, we have practicals where the examiner goes to the school and then meets the candidates in the classroom or in the lab and see what they are able to do with their hands, and that is practical exams.
Very, very interesting. Also, for Doctor, very soon I want to ask you what these categorizations play in terms of WAEC and what are the various forms of WAEC examines. But I am particularly interested in your road to becoming head of WAEC. Can you, in about the next 1 minute, take me through how you journeyed into the top position? Where did you start from?
Well, after university, I graduated in 1981. And I taught chemistry at Aquinas Secondary School.
One of the boys' schools?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
And then, up to 1984, and then I joined WAEC. Okay. 1984 as a subject officer for chemistry. And I started chemistry, or the subject officer, AR1, and then you start climbing. And then I became the second in command for BEC. Actually, it was my boss and I that actually started BEC in this country. Okay. Yes. Okay. And then I moved to 𝗘𝗍𝗺 to be the regional head what we call branch controller for the Eastern region. Then when I came back, I also went to school exams. And then from there, I became the head of security printing. And there, that is where we actually look at the printing of the question papers. So you do the copy editing, you do the proofreading, and everything about it, then you
Viewers today will know where the apo comes from, whether it is a myth. Say apokra ebi ewo WAEC. Today we are very privileged. Call and ask all your questions to Osofo Ollennu is here, former head of WAEC National Office in Ghana. Osofo, please continue.
You see, and in WAEC, the checks and balances are such that you can never do it.
Osofo, we'll come there.
You see, let me tell you even one funny story. You know, I had just preview
a paper.
Yes, and it was BEC paper. And my son was going to take BEC. So I passed by and saw what he was learning. And I know it won't come, but I just walked away.
Wow,
I walked
wicked father.
Quietly.
Wicked father.
You see, because if you don't take care, by the time you realize, you compromise the papers. And to me, that is not good, because you are teaching the child, you know, to be dishonest. And I don't want to promote, you know, lack of integrity in anything, you know. So rather than doing that, I could hire you a teacher and then walk away and let the teacher handle you.
So head of security printing has finished previewing a paper. His son is going to write a paper. He sees the son is learning something different and he walks away. How many of us parents can do that? But we'll get there, But so also for now, after security printing, you become...
I became the director of administration. You know, for 4 years before I finally became the head of the whole institution.
Was it by appointment, by nomination, or by voting? What was?
No, you apply and then you are interviewed by a panel, international panel. So in WAEC, it's difficult to influence. People will say, oh, I know somebody. No, you have somebody coming from Gambia, somebody coming from Liberia, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, and Ghana coming together. You know, you don't know them. So they come and then they do the interview. So even if you know the Ghana man, you don't know the Gambia man.
You know the Nigerian.
No, you won't know. So when you pass, you pass. That is how our interviews are. People will tell you don't know, but I'm telling you that WAEC, you know, what they call interviews are such that if you pass, because they are clean. You know, I can vouch for that. Yes.
So within which year did you become head?
I became head of WAEC in 2012. 2012 to 2018. So for 6 years, I was in charge.
So now let's come to WAEC. People say WAEC is a wicked entity, and the curses were put on WAEC. How can you bring us exams to fail us? Are you in the position of failing people? What is really the role of WAEC in examination?
You see, it is interesting. When people pass, they say, I have passed. But when they fail, they say, WAEC, you know, has failed me. You know, and that is the catch about it. But have you ever seen somebody who scores A's, you know, saying that the exam is not good? Or blaming WAEC?
But what he learned didn't come.
It's usually, of course, because you didn't learn well. You know, it's usually those who don't do well who will always be blaming WAEC. But those who do well and they receive the prizes, they are satisfied with the work.
Examination favors the fool.
No. You see, this is what, let me quote Gene, you know, this, what do you call it, Gene, Electoral Commission, Gene Mensa, Gene Mensa. And she said that losers always complain.
This why they have to pain some people.
You see, and so in examination, those who fail, they always complain. And you should expect it. You know, I remember there was a time when somebody failed, and he didn't understand, and he came with the father. They wanted to ask for a remarking. And I said, well, I respect you. You know, he was an elderly person. And I said, because of how you came gently, and I will show you something, which is never done, but I'll do it. So I called for the script of the student, and I put it before the father.
All this, or it was a particular subject?
It was a particular subject. Okay. And then I called for the script and put it in front of the father. The father said, oh, we're cool.
We're not in my mind.
And that was the end of the matter. Okay. You see, so people always, you know, think that WTVG is wicked, WTVG is not kind. But WTVG, I would say, is innocuous, in the sense that we are not for anyone, we are not against anyone. What you do is what we present to you.
Also, where does the process start with your examination? Who set the question? Sometimes we are told that you go and get the questions from outside the country. Others are also saying that you have some special teachers who set them. How do you set the questions, and how are they selected in order to make up the exams for the day?
Okay, what we do, in fact, the exam that will be taken this year has been worked upon 3 years ago.
You don't mean it?
I mean it.
Wow.
You know, so what we do is that we commission teachers across the region.
In Ghana?
Not just in Ghana.
Okay.
Yes,
in
everywhere. And then they come to the subject, if it is, let's say, chemistry. They come to those in Nigeria will give it to the subject officer in Nigeria, those in Ghana, and so on. Then after it has been brought, you do the usual editing to see whether, you know, there are no eyes and, you know, so on. And then you have a meeting, which we call moderating meeting.
Okay.
And then we, you know, invite experts in those fields. If it is chemistry, you have chemistry professors, chemistry teachers, classroom teachers, you know, because they are teaching. So they should be there to defend, you know, their people. And then we'll look at all the questions that have been brought. Those that need modification, you modify them. Those that are too high, you bring them low. Those that are too low, you bring them up to a certain
level. And it's based on the syllabus given to the teachers.
Completely.
So the whole idea of where the best syllabus is a myth.
It's a myth. We don't do that.
There is no question that is outside the syllabus.
Completely.
Hey, WTVG.
Absolutely.
I am surprised myself.
Yes.
Because some of the questions we saw, this one was awful.
Maybe you didn't go through the syllabus. I didn't go through. You didn't go through the syllabus. That's why. You see, and people specialize.
Okay.
And so, and there are some of the teachers, you know, everybody you know, has his own or her own likings. And so if somebody likes organic chemistry, you know, they will concentrate on organic chemistry and may not give, you know, good attention to physical chemistry. So when the students go to meet a question in physical chemistry, he says that, no, you have to, you know.
Well, me as an examiner...
So let me finish.
Okay, sure.
So after that, then the subject officer will compile. You know, will compile. In fact, all the questions that have been moderated and then approved. In fact, sometimes we do what we call a trial test. You know, we take it to the field and then give it to students for them to try.
Oh, then you're giving them the apple. How would they know?
They won't know because they don't know when it is going to come. So maybe 3 years before the time. So
your trial, you give it to, say, a particular school.
Several schools, yes.
Several, you just write.
Yes.
Wouldn't the teachers know that this is coming from WTVG as a project?
They will know, but they don't have anything to do with it because after the examination has been done and we bring it to the council, we sit on it again. Okay. You use the results and some other, you know, principles that we have to moderate it, and then you put it in shape, and then you compile before you give it to the students, the candidates to take. So there is no way any examination question will be above the capacity of the candidate. No. Everything is within their level.
Okay.
And that is why there is no need to fear examination. And I want to tell you that one of the major causes of examination malpractice is fear. Fear of failure. About failing. Meanwhile, and the second reason is unpreparedness.
Okay.
They are not prepared well, and it is because, like you are saying, they may not have finished the syllabus, or whilst the subject was being taught, he was doing something else somewhere else. And
so please, teacher, if I am, say, biology teacher at St. Peter's Secondary School in 𝗘𝗍𝗂, and I set a question, how will I be able to know that my question will drop, and then I'll teach my students to prepare in that area?
You wouldn't know.
If I said the question, you wouldn't know.
You won't know when it is going to come, because it could come 2 years later, 3 years later, 4 years later, 5 years later. You won't know. And even when you see the question, you even recognize it.
Wow.
Because it will be so modified that yes, you wouldn't know. And it is done so that the setters will not have any advantage over those who do not set.
Wow. This is really informative. So, dear friends, according to Dr. Nmai Ollennu, 3 years ago, the exams that will be written this year was set. 3 years ago.
I'm saying has been worked
on.
Had been
worked on.
Yes.
Okay. So it can still be modified as the days goes by.
Yes, it can.
Wow.
It can.
This is
to make sure that no student or no teacher has an advantage over the other, to create a level field for everybody.
To write.
Yeah.
So how come? Okay, so we are going through the process. So now you have done, questions are set. Now it's going to the print house.
Yeah.
Go to the print house with us.
Yes, at the print house. You know, normal printing takes
Are they printed in Ghana? Or that one is an executive secret?
Yeah,
we can leave that on.
Because, in fact, maybe let me be straight. Yes, they are printed. We sometimes print some outside when the occasion demands.
Okay.
But usually, we try as much as possible to print in Ghana. Okay. But beyond that, I won't say anything.
All right. Yes. So some are also very security prone, and we understand you keep it there. So now, are we also not sure that when it goes to the printing house, some of the printers can see the question and they can blow it out?
Maybe if I have the opportunity or if I have the mandate, I'll take you to one of the press and see whether anybody can take anything.
Wow.
Even the speed at which the thing is being printed. Even if you are standing, you can't say anything.
But the questions will be put on a computer. It will be typeset. Possibly you will put on a pen drive or whatever storage facility. When I go, I'll slot it in my machine, cut a plate, and all that man or woman is watching.
It is an integrated system, so human interventions are very minimal.
How do you mean?
How do I mean? It's because it's confidential.
Yes, so
we don't want you to what do you call it? You know,
be able to know the nuances.
No, you shouldn't know all. At least some of them are highly classified information.
That is perfect.
Which it's not supposed to be discussed.
So we are running this up to the level of when a student will go for his results. So now we are in the printing room. Printing is done. There is a myth that there's a possibility of a leakage from the point of the printing. And you are saying it's very difficult for somebody, but not impossible.
Some time ago, yes. But now it is almost impossible.
Okay.
Some time ago, when we were having leakages, yes. But measures have been put in place such that now it is near impossible. And so what you now see in social media is when the questions are released to the supervisors and invigilators.
So that is where we are coming to now.
And they give them to the students Then let me, use this word as, unscrupulous invigilators. They use their phones to take snapshots, and then they take it out to do their own thing.
But
that is the difficulty that we are
facing now.
And to me, it is an integrity crisis that needs to be tackled.
But also for doctor, sometimes we see some of these questions before the exams is taken.
That is why I'm saying, in fact,
days before.
Let me tell you, people fake, the work format, and then they put it out there that this is a leaked question. But when the exam is written, they don't go back to check.
Okay.
Most of what you see outside there are all fake.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm telling you. But those that you see, perhaps in the morning of the exam, they will have some kind of authenticity because somebody might have taken a snapshot of the.
But I know these exams papers are sealed, so it's printed in the printing house. They bring it to you. Please continue the process. Would they bring all to WAEC or do you keep it at the press?
We have a strong room.
Okay.
And they are
located
kept.
Where?
I will tell you.
Like today now, we'll take macho boys there. All right, please continue.
Even though I've retired from work, I'm still
so very important, very important. We appreciate that.
And so from the strong room, they are packed, for the various examination centers.
Okay.
And if the school is the examination center, that is what is done. And maybe a few days, about a week or two, then they are sent to depots. We have depots that are manned by WAEC personnel. WAEC personnel, GES personnel, and the police. So day by day, the supervisors come to the depot, and then they are given their parcels to go and open and conduct. So
days before the exams, all centers are saved.
Yes.
All depots are saved.
Exactly.
Okay. Now they are the depot now. They must move to the examination hall. Is that where the interference comes?
When it is, it could. You see, I mean, it's difficult because maybe you have only 2 people at the depot, 2 WAEC officers at the depot. And then you have, let's say, about 10 schools, coming to the depot. So it's difficult to follow every supervisor. And you are expecting that the supervisor will be responsible. And the police will,
monitor.
Yes. But unfortunately, they are both compromised. And so somewhere along the line, we can't say whether it is before they get to the school or whether it is at the school. Some people could, compromise it. And that is where we think that the country needs to do something about integrity of, those that are put in charge, of supervising examinations, Because if people are of high integrity, there is no way they will compromise the paper at any stage.
Okay. All right. Interesting, very interesting. Dear friends, we are speaking with a son of the Methodist Church, a very reverend of the Methodist Church, director of tertiary education. But today, we are digging into WAEC, the role of examination, i.e. assessment in education. And we have a former head of the Ghana National Office of WAEC having this discussion with us. He's told us some very interesting things. The cut-offs are here. Number 1, there is nothing called APO when it comes to WAEC. The questions are prepared 3 years. At least. It could be more. And within this time, they monitor strictly, even up to the printing level, where they minimize a lot of human interventions. Now we have moved into the depots. The examination papers are now moving to the centers. So let's go and enter examination center, say St. Peter's Secondary School. So for now we are in the center.
Yeah.
The supervisor takes the exam to the center, it is given to whoever is in charge, and then they start examination.
That's right.
Students sometimes will vomit, they will get sick, some will even die during examination. What are the causes of these things?
That is why, earlier on I mentioned fear. In our circles we call it examination fever.
Okay.
Yes, the mere mention of examination, puts some fright into them. And when we have orientation sessions, we tell them don't fear. Once you have learned your stuff, you don't need to know everything. Because you don't need 100% to get an A.
To pass, yes.
So once you are sufficiently prepared, don't fear, because the examinations are within your reach, and you should be able to surmount it comfortably. So do not fear, and we do that to calm them down. Okay. And usually when they enter into the room and they find out that, there are questions they can handle, then they calm down. But those who are unprepared, whilst the others are burning the midnight oil, they are jamming somewhere. They cause the trouble, for the exam.
Yes. Also, is cheating real in our examination, both B, C, and C?
Very
And what are some
real.
of the forms of cheating within the center, the examination hall? Now we are in the hall.
People, in fact, the first thing is that people anticipate, they guess what is going to come, and then they put them on papers. We call them creep. They fold it small, hide it somewhere, take it to the exam. If no proper section is done, then they succeed in taking it to the exam. Others take books, and so on and so forth, And then others too, as I said, could take the question out, or take a snapshot of it and take it to a subject expert to work, out the questions, and then try to smuggle it in again for the students to copy, And also we have in the exam room where students exchange, they even exchange
papers.
Yes, papers and so on. Somebody could do the sketches on his question paper and then exchange with his colleague.
But we understand your OBJs are now different from index number to index number.
Yes, we call them parallel examinations.
Okay.
So that even if you do, we call it giraffing, you even stretch your head to look at this. What he or she is answering will not be the same as yours.
If there are students watching us, this is very important. The person by you is writing a different paper. You can say, if I do this, it's an A. If I do this, it's a B. If I do this, it's a C. Also, we all learn the trick. But remember, said your tone channel. That is not the question. Into Ube copy the A, B, C, D, Ube Diego. So please, we are all not writing the same paper. Let's all be very careful at this. Yes. So examination is now over. Those who write will write. Those who vomit will. But a greater percentage will go through.
Oh yes.
What causes cancellation?
Well, of course, if you go against the rules, we have rules and regulations that govern the examination. So whenever you go against the rules, then definitely your papers will be cancelled. And depending on the gravity of the offense, we could just cancel the subject, or you could cancel the entire results of the candidate. You see, for instance, yes, if let's say you are found with a paper, that is relevant to the question you are writing, a creep we call it, then maybe that subject alone will be cancelled. But if you are found with a mobile phone on you and you are doing, let's say, economics, all your other papers, English, mathematics, will be cancelled.
Wow.
You enter. Wow. And that is why it is dangerous, or it is not helpful at all to involve yourself in examination or practice.
Very dangerous. Our phone lines are open. This is the time for parents and students to call and ask. Also for Nmai Ollennu, some of the questions that you couldn't ask many years ago. 025-625-3461. 025-625-3461. Our phone lines are open now. Please, let's have your comments. Let's have your calls. Also for now, exams is over. Those who will be cancelled have been cancelled. Those who proceed will proceed. How are the exams marked?
Before we go to how the exams are marked, let me also say this, because people, are oblivious about the consequences of examination malpractice.
Okay.
You see, once people indulge in examination malpractice, the first thing is that we are helping to select square pegs for round holes. So you get the wrong people to occupy sensitive positions. And let's say that the person does that and becomes a doctor. So that instead of giving you, maybe you are a doctor. So instead of just giving you some paracetamol, then in my chemistry I would say we give you 2,4-nitrofenylhydrazine. And then by the time you realize, you are gone.
Yeah, God, it's a poison.
Yes, so it is, it affords wrong people the opportunity to be at very sensitive place. And in so doing, it denies the correct people, from going forward.
Okay.
Occupying the correct position. And also, it promotes indolence, laziness, and mediocrity. And if you do that, then you won't get advancement. And maybe that is why maybe some areas, suffer because we don't have correct people at the correct places. And it doesn't support equity, because some people will now get advantage, undue advantage, undeserved advantage over others, So when we come...
So we have a friend all the way from Yendi. 𝗘𝗍𝗰𝗂𝗰𝗁, you are calling from Yendi.
Yes, please. Good morning.
Morning. Let's hear you.
Yeah, I will have to thank my pastor that is sitting out there for him saying about the exam practices. As he was talking about earlier, that some people will be burning the night, and while some people too will be at the jamming center during the exam center. And this thing is mostly happening in the schools that are the villages, like the schools that are not upper rulers. So when they have hope that, when the time is reached, the teachers will assist them to do the corporate, and which is not fair. All these things, it kills the students. Yes, it kills the students. And this thing, when the teachers do know that, you are not learning, every time you are in the Jamson Center, they will also tell you that, learn again. They will wait for you. When you come to the examination hall and you realize that, what I've learned or what I knew earlier is not in the paper that I'm going to write. That's where the vomiting or the examination fever will catch you. That you now know that, I'm foolish now.
All right.
Yes.
Fair enough. Point well made. So all students going to the jamming center, there is a time for accountability, and if you are not careful, the times will catch up with you. And also for doctor is saying that if you are not prepared, examination favors the prepared, not the fool. Rather favors the prepared. The syllabus have been given, and exams will be written around the syllabus. Also, you may continue.
So I've spoken about the consequence, and I thank the speaker, yes, for his contribution. And it behoves on all of us to help curb examination malpractice. WTVGhana cannot do it alone, because WTVGhana cannot be everywhere. We have, over 1,000.
So I have Owusu.
Yes, please.
You are calling from Jakubu?
Yes.
All right. Where exactly is Jakubu?
Jakubu is near 𝗣𝗠𝗏 in Ashanti region.
Oh, 𝗣𝗠𝗏. Okay.
Also near Anyankwanta on the Obuasi.
Stretch. All right. Let's hear you.
Yeah, my question is, examination of practices has been there for a very long time. And I know West Africa Examination Council, who are the main, supervisors and maybe that what I call the administrators of examination have been doing their best. But the question is, questions actually emanate from West Africa Examination. And so people will also begin to ask, what is actually happening? Because if they are the very, organizers, the publishers, the supply distributors of questions, then how does the questions normally come out? Do you get me? Now, there have been a lot of mechanisms that have been put across board over the years, printing multiple questions so that if there is any leakage, maybe a new one is replaced. But the question is, how do the questions come out? Because they are the very sources. So that is
all
my
right.
question.
Okay, so Osofo has answered that, but maybe he will reiterate it so that we place emphasis on this. Osofo.
Yes, I was saying that in time past, that used to be the case, but not in modern times. From I think about 2015, coming, measures were put in place such that, that will not happen again. But I'm not here to actually, divulge, the measures that, were put in place. But now, the difficulty that we have is with invigilators. Actually, I would pin invigilators and supervisors. Even some of them go to the extent of collecting monies from the candidates so that they can take a snapshot of the questions and then take them out. And that is the difficulty we are having, So if people can be honest and, go by the rules, what he's saying will not happen. Because the measures in WAEC are such that even there are some people who are in WAEC who have not even seen what happens in the strong room. They haven't. Because if you don't have anything doing there, you don't go there. And you can't just go there and come out free. Because every measure has been put in place such that when you go there and anything happens, you'll be seen. So it doesn't really come from work. And you see, when you speak like this, people don't believe you. They never believe you. There was a time that some national service people came, to do service over here. And after 1 year, when they were, leaving, we had a debriefing. So at the end of the day, we asked them, but you people, when you were out there, you believed that papers were flying about, in what? They said, but
we have not seen the papers.
I said, So go back and tell, your people. And one of them said, even I've told my friends, but they won't believe me. You see, so because some people are so corrupt, they wouldn't even believe that there is an organization or there's a system, that could have such high degree of integrity, and conduct exam free and fair, But I must say it again that the difficulty that work is having is because it has to deal with, some invigilators. Work cannot do it alone. And these invigilators are those that are compromising the exams. And we are pleading, or let me say on behalf of WAEC, I'm pleading with the general public that they help WAEC.
So we also have a caller from Achimoda. Bernard, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we are listening to you.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Okay, please. There are some people, group of people who indulge examination of practice that affect the whole class. And I'm asking what we are doing about that.
Okay. All right. So also for that's also another one. So he sat in a certain class where more practice went on, and the entire classes papers or the center's papers has been cut. He is innocent. What happens to them?
The examiner is marking. The examiners have been trained to detect malpractice. And when they are marking and they suspect that there is something wrong, they will raise a query. And the query is investigated. And once it is found, to be true, then valid, then their papers are cancelled. In fact, first of all, the papers will be withheld. And so if you are in the classroom and mass cheating is going on, and you say you don't care, it won't help you.
So you must report.
Sure. I mean, it's incumbent on you to say that something is going wrong, because if about 90% of the class is found cheating, definitely you can't tell me that. Of course, there are ways and means of exonerating those who haven't done anything. But, when people are even wrong, you've caught them with the thing, they will say, David, the thing is not with me.
Wow.
Meanwhile, it is with them. So that is what happens. But I want to say that, you see, people should not fear. And in passing your examination, it's not impossible. You can pass your examination honorably. You see, once you have the textbooks, you have the classroom notes, you have information from the internet, you even have past questions, to even help you practice. And I wasn't surprised when at a certain, year, in a certain year, when the government, gave the students, bought some past papers, chief examiner's report, and gave to them. Then suddenly there was improvement in performance, because that gave the students an opportunity to practice, and practice makes perfect. So that is exactly.
So it wasn't true government bought a pot for them.
No, how can the government get better pot? The government only gave them pass, question papers.
Also, you see, interestingly, our time is up. We are going to push for a part 2 of this, because we are not exhausted at all. We now wanted to see who are marking. We got some information about last month about AI-generated answers. What is really happening? Who marks our paper? Do you take it outside? Is it still our teachers who are marking? But this and many others, we will come back to you for a part 2 and dig more. Dear friends, we have been talking to the Very Reverend Samuel Nmai Ollennu, former head of WTVGhana National Office and a minister of the Methodist Church Ghana, who is Director of Tertiary Education. We have been speaking on the role of examination, i.e. assessment, in education. We will have a part 2 of this, and I'm sure you will ask your questions. Please stick and stay. We will be back to wrap up.